tribe was meeting with the Bureau of Reclamation, and they had emergency response.
They
And
do.
it was for flood control and for fires. So, Chris, I mean, they must not have continued those meetings, but the Bureau was really helpful because they have it. Where they were working with, we had the big burn there in Keller and some flooding problems. They were responsive.
Yeah, well, I think, I don't know if you was here when Chris gave his report, but they responded quick.
Mm-hmm.
Our emergency people responded quick. It was just us, how do we get the information? How do we answer you when you ask us what's going on, how many houses,
Well,
is
how
it
does
close
Mount
to me?
Holman do it?
I don't, radio, they got radio.
That's what you have to
They have radio phones and they have sat phones.
Our sat phones wouldn't work.
They wouldn't.
No, off and on. Both providers, AT&T and Verizon was having troubles here.
But a sat phone is based on a different technology.
Whatever it is, we didn't
We
get
didn't.
phone coverage.
Yeah.
Oh, I know why. You know, down here at Brewster at the satellite stations, that's where the repeater is for sat phones. And that would burn up in almost like the first few days. So those satellites were out, and they still remain out. A lot of them.
That plan.
Because some of that's connected to NASA, and they were out of communications for 3 or 4 days.
Yeah. So I think we were lucky on our side of the river this time. And let me just say that too, when we went over to meet with the county commissioners right after it started, we had our first meeting and how we were gonna work. We walked in just when the county commissioner was talking to their staff saying, look at the Colville tribe and how they manage their forests and what condition they're in this fire. And look at ours out here and how that's managed, and look how much of that is burning up. And so I think they're envious. We had teams, our system, not us, not council, but the system. We have, you see them, those young men and women out on the trucks patrolling the reservation, and when there's a storm coming, they haul out. They're not waiting downtown, they're out there somewhere. And I think you got that idea when Chris said, when the fire started up north, we had a team there. And that's the difference in a lot of how quickly you respond. I think that was reported to us that we had like 11 or 1,200 hits that night of the storm. And that's an ungodly number of lightning strikes on the reservation. That was on the reservation. And look at how little damage was done to us compared to out there. And I just think you guys, our people need to know that. Our young men and women are doing a hell of a job out there.
Yeah, they are.
Is there a place to, you know, when you evacuate people, is there a place to send them, bring them, like for each district?
We don't have it we don't have it worked out in each district, but we had it worked out here. They were gonna go to Pascal Sherman.
Mm-hmm.
That was the immediate place. And then nobody showed up. And so when the state was gonna send over National Guard, we said, okay, they can bivouac up there. And then that changed, so now it's back open. But we just haven't had any tribal members that have requested. What we have is tribal members who need things.
I guess what I was getting at was that, like on, when we had to evacuate out of Digital, we ended up bringing, I filled up my trailer with my mom's stuff, but we ended up bringing it over to the police compound over in Spelem. You know, and I was thinking about places where they could bring stuff to, where they'd be safe.
Yeah, no, we don't have that yet, and we'll make sure that that's part of the,
We have places we could mail those.
yeah, but we don't have it arranged or set up, but we can do that, so we need to write that down as an item for when we meet so that we're more organized.
We have quite a few compounds.
Yeah, fenced compounds. You had your hand up.
Oh, I live in a lot. I live in the Heads, and it was hard to get information. It was, we had to keep going down into town. And the thing was, is when, because we've had fires out there before that kind of, you know, they warned us, hey, the potential threat around. And when all that was going down, when we had to keep going down into town, the plan was, is if something was happening in the Heads, we'd go down into Malott. There was no choice going down into Malott. You couldn't go to the Grange, you couldn't go, you know, it was closed.
Yeah.
So there was like real no spot for us in all of Malott to go. Everybody had to head out to Okanagan or past Okanagan. And so that was kind of scary. And when I went around the first night when it was hitting Chilliwack, we went around knocking on doors and letting people know, you know, just cautious. We don't know how fast this is going to move. And a lot of people asked, well, where are we supposed to go? And I said, I would think the community center, but I don't know. Nobody had told us. There was no plan. There's no emergency plan for the HUD. There's no emergency plan for Malott. We don't have representatives for Malott, for the whole city. You know, we don't have a mayor. We don't have these things. And so it's actually extremely important that you guys put something together for us and get some sort of captains out there, you know, that the rest of the crew could be in contact with us on our side, because nobody knew what to do. Nobody knew where to go.
So does the housing authority, they don't have an evacuation plan? That surprises me. That
They should, and it's been brought up before. I've done a block watch and we didn't get anywhere. We've tried to do safety stuff. It didn't really go anywhere.
Okay, we'll make that a priority, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you got about 100 people in the Malott HUD, so I mean, it's important.
I know.
A lot of people.
We agree with you.
Another thing that I think is really important is everybody needs to make sure that their weeds are knocked down around their houses. They need to keep their lawns watered. Because it don't take much for it just to.
We're sagebrush all around in that whole area, so I mean, a lot of the yards are sagebrush. Even when they do mow the weeds down, they just pop right back up. And in my brother's yard, even we've tried to rototill and do all kinds of stuff to put grass in there, and there's just rocks, lots of rocks and lots of weeds. So it's kind of difficult to do stuff like that. But a lot of people didn't have hoses, so
Is it possible to get some kind of a crew to keep a fire line built around the house itself?
Yeah, couldn't they put like a fire line and gravel all the way around, like?
I don't know if that would actually work because of all the sagebrush that's still out there. And
No,
you know,
no,
if the
fire.
wind's blowing, it's still going to hit those sagebrushes, and it's going to go from top to top like it would a tree
It'll jump
because
the
they're
river.
dry, right?
It'll jump the river.
It
Fire line
happens.
is, you know, that's still prohibited.
It is.
We
And
can
it
raise
does.
that. We'll raise that. I don't know why it couldn't be done. I mean, how hard is it to get a cat to go around? But it has to be done pretty regular because that stuff grows back really fast.
Yeah, because down there it's more sand and gravel, and that's the issue. Because growing up down in Brewster, it's the same
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
You make those lines, and guess what? By the end of the summer, because of the wind and sifting,
Yeah.
it's all covered over again. And but it's still a good idea. And like you said, maybe it's a periodic thing, especially when we know July, August, and till middle of September are really hot times. And of course, then we have to watch at the end of September for that October. You know, we had that firestorm, what, 3 years ago? That went through quite a bit of our reservation. Just thank goodness it was sagebrush.
Any little thing that we do, that you as homeowners do, that we do as a whole tribe is helpful.
I think the HUD should have a deal and make people take care of their yards. Instead of letting them just trash it.
They are cracking down on it. In Malott, 7 houses were empty. 1 got filled up about 2 months ago, so 6 are empty right now. Specifically because those people didn't pay their rent and they didn't keep their house clean. Those things combined are why these people have lived there for 20 years. Nobody saw it coming. We had no idea, and I mean, some of them did deserve to go. They should have followed the rules. They should have paid their rent and should have kept their house clean.
Make them see that they keep their yards up.
They do. I got cracked on. Executive director stopped by my house. He's doing his job. He is going around, and I had to move a bunch of stuff and a broken down vehicle. I got caught. He's doing his job. And he also mentioned when they opened up the Eagles Nest Community Center the other day. Okay, yeah, like Tuesday, I think it was. Was it yesterday? Yesterday morning?
Yesterday.
Anyway, yesterday morning, right? Yeah, early in the morning. I don't get up that early, but I hauled up to Omak from Malat. And we talked about a couple of different things, and they mentioned about the emergency planning down there from Malat and doing a couple of other things because I started packing on Thursday night. Everybody else didn't pack till Saturday, but when I was asked what's the first thing you packed, I said clothes and shoes. And, you know, they were like, it's an emergency. And I was like, I started packing Thursday night. So that was my emergency, to get my clothes and shoes out. And when I realized after what I did, I kind of realized I kind of panicked. I didn't really grab the important things, and that was brought up by Brooke too, is to make sure that we don't panic and we have some sort of plan set in motion of what is priority. But at Thursday night, 2 days before it actually got really close, that was my priority. So.
And that would be helpful, like you're saying, what do you pack in an emergency? Have that notice and information available. And I believe that there was a bulletin board down in the lot where you can staple that stuff up.
Where at? Like at the post office? Is that what you're talking about? Yeah, at the post office, yeah.
We can, I
But we
don't
can
know,
make
I don't know
more
why
orders or something.
we couldn't even have that delivered. You know, I mean, deliver something like that, suggested list of
Yeah,
emergency
you
things,
can
just
go
give
over
it
to
each
the
house.
health center, the public health center in Okanagan, and they've got those booklets. They've got emergency prepared lists for like 3-day supply, 6-day supply,
Yeah.
and it tells you, you know, if you have a family of this number, what you should have. So, because I have all that stuff.
Well, when the killer storm hit, we did that. Bill Joseph went to community to community to community and gave that emergency preparedness and planning. It was granted after the fact, and I think that just needs to be one that continual
Yeah.
information, because in the spring we had the flooding, in the summer we got the, you know, fire potential, and in winter we have severe winters. So it's good to know.
Can we post it on our website?
Yes.
The website, the Tribune, the Facebook.
But if
just
you have
keep
no
reminding.
computer account or
Okay. Also, geez, it must have been about 10 years ago. This is something that, it's been brought up a couple years ago, and nothing was ever done in our housing. Okay, when there's fires that are around, that's a big deal because it affects everybody, but I think people forget that there's fires that hit just single homes, and just single homes have burned down. And in the past, when the last one in Malat went down, there was a child that was in it. Nobody ever came and put a safety plan, gave us fire extinguishers, came to help us grieve. Nothing ever happened back then. And so that's something that definitely should be looked at. There should be, for the 2-story houses, safety ladders like there are in other places, or without fire extinguishers. After that happened, I put fire extinguishers all throughout my house and my vehicles. So that's something that should definitely be looked into and considered in helping people get that arranged.
Good ideas.
When, I should just talk to housing too and have them give people a list if they're gonna move in there. This is a list of emergency things in case of an emergency.
That's a good point, yeah.
That
As soon
would
as you
help,
move in, yep.
People that are moving in there, moving in any of these houses.
Yeah, kind of part of their orientation or something.
Yeah.
like a-
During
Something
the
mandatory
orientation,
handout, yeah.
Provide that list for people, so people will know, say, I don't know, you know, don't know what to do. An emergency, get out. That's what I do.
We weren't quite an emergency yet.
I'm
I
not
was
gonna take
thinking,
anything, I'm just gonna leave.
get your animals out. Just her hers out.
my list was guns and pictures.
She made sure she had her dog and cat.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then she went to pay her, she put them over at the Sandy's. You
Okay,
didn't
well,
charge
that's-
her nothing.
Any trip reports that we might have had? That was only be you.
I guess I'm the only one that's been on trips. Edwin?
Go to Gaspilo.
Urban app.
Okay, let me just tell you that some of the things that I've been involved with, because I have been on the road. A lot of it has been with gaming. We've been working, I've been going to meetings called the Washington Indian Gaming Association. And it's all of the tribes in the state of Washington, all of them. Those that have casinos, those that don't lease their machines to tribes that do have casinos and need more. And the process has been in the past, and still is until we can get a change, that whenever a tribe needs more machines as they grow, and as their business grows, they gotta go renegotiate their compact with the state. And that's not an easy process to do, especially if you have a governor that is not supportive of Indian gaming. This governor is supportive of us. And so we've been working to try to develop a process where what we call a trigger mechanism. If our machines get down to a certain point, it'll automatically trigger that we can get extra machines, whether it be 50 or 100 new machines, without having to go through that renegotiating compacts. And we've had 3 tribes, particularly 3 tribes, the Sauk Suattle, the Ho, the Skokes, 4, and the Samish tribes that were just leasing tribes. They didn't have casinos. And they were afraid that if we would get this process of an automatic trigger and we could get as many machines as we needed, no tribe would lease from them, and that's their only gaming income. And so it's taken meeting after meeting to convince those tribes, because the governor wants us to be unanimous, which is the best thing to do. And so we thought we had it done finally after I've been out going to them for 2 months, and I know most of the tribal leaders, and so we were unanimous at my last meeting, and we were getting ready to go to meet with the governor and say, here's our plan, 100% support from all of the tribes, and then the Puyallup tribe backed out, and they weren't happy with the trigger, and looks like they want to go on their own. So now the work is going to be, go ahead and go on your own, negotiate your own compact, but don't hold the rest of us back. And that's what we'll be negotiating with them. So that's my gaming world.